Recently, we installed our new INTEX Prism metal frame pool, and now that we've been enjoying it all summer, I wanted to share how we set up this above ground pool and give you an update on how it's been holding up so far. Our yard is completely uneven, so to level out an area large enough to fit our 15-foot by 48-inch pool, we used landscape edging to create a 15.5 by 15.5 foot square. We lined that square with a weed barrier, then we brought in 3 truck beds of mason sand to fill in and level it out. We did all of this prep work a couple of years ago when we bought our old Easy Set pool, which was also 15 feet wide. So when we bought our new pool, we intentionally got another 15-foot pool so we could install it in the same spot, and all we had to do beforehand was level the sand back out. Now, INTEX says to use a firm surface like dirt or concrete instead of sand, but reusing the sand saved us time and money, so we decided to see if it would still keep the pool level, which I'll share the results of at the end of this video. With the ground prepped, we unboxed the pool, which comes with everything you need to get it up and running, including the metal frame and liner, as well as the ground cover, pump and filter, hoses, and a ladder. Yeah. Here's Kaylee in a box. The vinyl liner is pretty stiff, so before trying to assemble the frame, you want to lay the liner out in the sun where it'll warm up, making it more pliable so it'll be easier to slide the poles through the sleeves. Laying out the liner and assembling the frame is a 2-person job, so you definitely want to make sure that you have an extra set of hands to help out at this point. While the liner warmed up, we laid the ground cover out where the pole was going to go. I'd suggest laying the liner out on top of the ground cover to let it warm up so you don't have to drag it across the ground, but this area is shaded, so we laid it out where it could get more direct sunlight and warm up a little quicker. After letting the liner warm up for about 10 minutes, we carefully picked it up, carried it over, and laid it out on the ground covering. We turned the liner so that the 3 inlet and outlet holes on the side were facing that back right-hand corner of the square, which is where the pump is going to go. Before assembling the frame, we unwrapped and sorted the metal poles out into 2 sizes. The larger diameter poles are the horizontal beams, and the smaller diameter poles are the vertical legs. Both are connected using the plastic T-joints. Starting anywhere along the pool liner, take one of the beams and slide it into one of the sleeves. Attach one of the plastic T-joints to the end of the beam and push it firmly into place. Repeat those steps as you work your way around the pool, sliding each beam through the sleeve and connecting it to the T-joint on the end of the beam next to it. When you get to that last connection, you want to lift the T-joint and the beam up a few inches. Then, as you push the 2 pieces back down, slide the end of the beam into the end of the T-joint, and they should pop right into place. I blocked the camera when connecting that last beam, but hopefully that still makes sense. Before you attach the pool legs, you want to take the black end caps and fit them over the bottom of each leg. You can identify the bottom because it's wider than the top, and the top is slightly tapered. The end caps are a little tight, so we pressed down on each leg, making sure the end cap was pushed all the way on. To attach the leg, slide the top through the bottom of one of the loops on the belt that runs around the middle of the pool, then lift the beam assembly and push the top of the leg into the bottom of the T-joint. The belt on our pool was twisted up, so as we worked our way around the pool, we made sure that each loop was on the outside of the belt before sliding each leg through. The pool manual wasn't super clear about the placement of the loops, but there was a separate sheet with directions in the box that stated that they went on the outside, which matched what was pictured on the box, so that's what we went with. With the frame assembled, we smoothed the ground cover back out and made sure the pool was positioned right where we wanted it. Next, I assembled the ladder so that I could have a couple of my kids get into the pool and start helping me smooth out the liner. We made sure that the drain was plugged on the inside of the pool and that the cap on the outside was screwed on tightly before we turned on the hose and started filling up the pool. You need about an inch of water in the pool so that the weight of the water can help to hold the liner in place as you smooth out all of the wrinkles. The kids pushed the wrinkles outward toward the sides of the pool while I went around the outside pulling on the bottom edge of the liner to help pull those wrinkles out. I also walked around pulling the legs outward, making sure that they were standing vertically as the pool filled up with water. When you first assemble the frame, the legs try to kick inwards, so you have to continuously walk around the pool, pulling them back outwards until there's enough water in the pool to weigh the frame down. At this point, we were running out of sunlight, so with the liner smoothed out and enough water in the pool to weigh the legs down, we called it a day. The next morning, I turned the hose back on, and while the pool filled up, I got ready to get the pump installed before the water level got high enough to reach the inlet and the outlet holes. This pool comes with a 1,000 gallon per hour pump, which I'm installing first so you'll know how to set up the pump that your pool came with, but afterwards I'll be upgrading to a 2,500 gallon per hour pump, which I'll talk about after we get this one set up first. I unpacked the pump, sorted out all of the parts it came with, then grabbed the inlet jet nozzle, 2 strainer grids, and 3 strainer connectors. I took 2 of the strainer connectors, pushed them through the 2 lower holes, then I screwed the strainer grids onto the end of each connector. I did the same thing with the other strainer connector, pushing it through the upper hole, then screwing on the inlet jet nozzle. When you're done, the connectors should all be sitting flush with the inside of the pool wall, and you should be able to see the other end sticking out of the black tubes on the outside of the pool. Next, I grabbed 4 hose clamps, the T-split, and 3 hoses, which will be used to connect the 2 lower holes or the outlets to the pump. I held the strainer from the inside of the pool while I pushed the hose over the connector from the outside of the pool. Then I secured the hose in place with one of the clamps. After repeating those steps and connecting a hose to the other outlet, I grabbed the T-joint and I pushed the other end of each hose over either side of the T-joint and secured each hose in place with a clamp. I then did the same thing with the third hose and connected it to the bottom of the T-joint. On the upper hole, I took the inlet air adapter and I pushed it over the connector with the support arm facing downward. Then I screwed the air jet valve into the hole on top of the adapter. I attached the last hose to the inlet by pushing it over the end of the adapter. Then I placed a clamp where the hose fits over the adapter and where the adapter fits over the connector. I also placed the air jet valve cap on top of the air jet valve, which keeps water from leaking out when the pump isn't running. Next, place your pump centered between the inlet and the outlets where the hoses can easily be reached. Then connect the outlet hose to the upper pump connection and the inlet hose to the lower pump connection and clamp both of those hoses to the connectors. I put the hoses on the wrong connectors and didn't realize it at the time, so just make sure to put yours on the opposite connectors than what I showed myself doing here. Just remember, the outlet connects to the upper, the inlet connects to the lower. This pump will work fine if all you need it to do is filter and circulate the pool water. But since I'm adding a couple of accessories, I needed a stronger pump and I needed to upgrade from the 1 1/4 inch to the 1 1/2 inch inlet fitting. I shared how to do this in a previous video when I made the same upgrades to my last pool, so I'll link that down in the description box and at the end of this video for anyone that's interested. With the pump installed and once you've finished filling the pool, you want to remove the plugs from inside of the strainer grids and the inlet jet nozzle, which will allow the water to flow from the pool through the hoses and into the pump. Check all of your hoses, joints, and connections to make sure you don't have any leaks, and if you do, plug the pool back up, fix the leaks, then remove the plugs and recheck everything. I removed the cap from the air jet valve, then I primed the pump by twisting the air release valve open, waiting for water to run out, then twisting it back down. You'll prime the pump that came with this pool the same way. The only difference is you'll have one release air valve where this pump has two. Now all you have to do is turn your pump on and you are good to go. At this point, I also added a waterfall and a skimmer basket to the pool, which I'm sharing in the next couple of videos, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to be notified when I post those videos here on YouTube. We've had this pool set up for almost 3 months now, and everything is going really well. Now, a couple of the pool feet settled in the sand after we first set it up, so you can see that this leg right here is a little low, and that one over there is as well. But thankfully, this hasn't caused any major issues with the pool. It's not unstable or leaning to one side or the other, it's just not as perfectly level as I'd like it to be. Aside from that, this pool is in great condition even after all it's been through this summer. Within the first month of setting up this pool, we had a major hailstorm, weeks of heavy rain, and a major electrical storm with winds reaching 100 miles per hour that tore our trees up and knocked the power out for an entire week. Somehow, the pool didn't take any damage and it was still standing at the end of all of that. Since then, we've been living in a literal heat dome where it's been in the hundreds every day and the pool is still going strong. We've definitely gotten our money's worth with this pool and I imagine it'll last for years to come. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, you can check out one of my other INTEX pool videos linked right here.